Good evening, it's Owen and Julien Blanc. Oh no, run everybody, oh no! And what we're going to be talking about today is an extension of a previous video that we did, which was on the topic of getting feedback and not being surrounded by yes men. And to extend the video, we're going to be talking about how to actually receive feedback, because in the first video we talked about the importance of feedback and how it changes your life. And in this video we're going to be talking about how to do it. Now, this is a video for you if you like the following things. First of all, do you want to make money? And by money I mean a lot of money. Well, if you don't have the skill set that we're going to teach you about giving feedback and getting feedback in a way that helps you to be flying a straight path rather than flying blind, but also helps you to give feedback so that you can strengthen your relationships with others who you build prosperous relationships with. Well, this is for you if you want to make millions of dollars and be wildly successful. Now, this is also for you if you want to have a situation where if you have a romantic partner, you know, like me and Julien Blanc, if you'd like to have a romantic partner, well, you can actually have it last. So how to create situations where relationships last a long time. I wouldn't say that all of my relationships or all Julien's relationships have lasted forever, but if you want to have it in a position where it can reach its potential, this will teach you that, which of course also saves money because you don't have meltdowns in your financial relationships or personal relationships, and so this will help you in that regard. Now, lastly, this will help you if you'd like to learn elite level skills of the Illuminati, okay? And by the Illuminati, what I mean is this. There's a sort of perception that there's this like Illuminati that pulls the strings, maybe the Rothschild, the Illuminati, right? And the perception is that they're doing all this like really underhanded stuff to be financially successful. But the personal view that I've always maintained is, while that might be in a paradigm that I don't understand, there's actual real paradigms that really successful people do understand, and that the masses, the sort of unthinking, unwashed, pitchfork-wielding masses do not understand. And typically they're thinking like, why do they make all the money and we don't? Oh, they're cheating the system. But really what they're doing is they're extending their paradigm of the world, thinking like, if they were going to make money, they'd have to do something underhanded. And they're thinking that like, the bad guys are doing this to make money. But in fact, these skills here are what I personally seen as the missing piece to why many businesses fail, many relationships fail, why many people fail to get the feedback that they need to succeed, why many people fail to be able to get people around them to take the right action. So we're going to teach you how to receive feedback, how to give feedback, and how to do so in a way where relationships that are pivotal to your life and success are strengthened and grown rather than diminished, okay? So we're gonna help you to build your relationship capital and financial capital here rather than diminishing it when this important element of feedback is brought into the equation.
So just to recap the last vid, in case you missed it, to really reiterate why feedback is important, because you may be thinking, okay, feedback, I know what it is, whatever. Feedback is extremely crucial, no matter who you are, no matter where you're at. It is the key component to, as we just mentioned, keeping relationships going, be it personal, friendships, or business. And what you have to realize is that without feedback, and this is unfortunately how most people just spend their lives, you are flying blind, you are stuck in an echo chamber of your mind, you are surrounded by yes men, and you will easily just fall off course. I mean, it's insane. Like, if you don't have feedback, and literally if you look around, most people never receive feedback at all, and they're just stuck. They're stuck in this little yes men world of people either reinforcing what they believe or them simply reinforcing what they believe here. So with feedback, and I'd just say this would be like the first point we could touch on, there is a time and place. You may be hearing this and you're like, okay, you know what? I need feedback, I get it. And you're gonna start going around and just asking everyone to always give you feedback, or you're gonna start giving feedback to everyone. You're like, you know what? Feedback's very important for you. And you're gonna start telling all your friends all this feedback all the time, and that is not going to help.
All feedback, all
like
the time.
Non-stop, just like,
hey,
feedback.
The way you're using the camera there, I don't know about that. That look that you have there, sir, I don't know about that. I'm just kidding.
I don't know, man. You need some feedback about that shirt.
Julian, this pose here.
What is this? Feedback?
And you're supposed to be high vibration, but it says Coke.
Coca-Cola. No, I do need a little feedback on the shirt. Maybe now's some time to feedback on the delivery too.
Yeah, switch it up, bro.
I know, maybe our whole video should just be giving feedback. It's like, no.
My Julien Blanc thing, did I stretch it too long? Was it a little much?
I think so. I think you could improve that. Wait, is this not the right time and place? okay? There is a time and place. If you're just going around giving feedback to everyone, you're gonna alienate a lot of people. They're not going to like you. And if you're just asking everyone for feedback all the time, those are not gonna be real friendships or any kind of relationships either.
There's a middle ground between most people who get no feedback, and then you get the person who's over the top of the other direction. As with most things, there's a middle ground to it. Time and a place.
Yeah, time and place. And that'd be the first thing to understand. It's like schedule it. Like literally schedule time to do either 360-degree feedback or feedback sandwiches. Like we meet up and occasionally we're like, okay, what's up? Give me some feedback, let's talk. We meet up with the team, we all sit down, what's going on? It's not like all the time, feedback, or even like right before doing something important like recording this video, I'm not gonna go up to Owen and be like, dude, I just wanna say this idea about feedback, I don't really know, and this shirt's kind of shit, and you maybe should have, done something about this shit. But let's go, hey, let's go.
Self-esteem therapy down the drain. Like, I can't even talk anymore.
Like imagine, like I do that right before, I'm like, hey, you gotta fix this video. You'd be like, it's like, no. Time and place.
Yeah, even if we have a student, say, on a live program, we give the feedback that they can fix immediately, but anything that can't be fixed immediately is taught at the last day. You're not like, you need to fix this, and you can't right now. All right, go for it. There's a time and place to everything, and it's within a role, right? So it's like we have coaches, and we're not going up to our coaches giving them constant feedback, throughout the day, or even us when we teach. Actually, at the end of the day, we have feedback forms, which are then given at the end of the day and are sent to us. So there's a time and a place for it. It shouldn't be disruptive. It should be scheduled. And you can give ongoing feedback to an extent, but heavier feedback that's gonna throw somebody out of their center. Like if the feedback is throwing you off what you're trying to do right now, there's a time and a place for it, and it shouldn't become obnoxious or disruptive.
Yeah, I mean, especially in like social interactions, like, again, success with women, there's a guy, if you're like, you need to fix this, and look, you fucked that up, what are you thinking? Go talk. It's like, how are they gonna be positive and just have a blast like, hey, how's it going? No, that'd be like, the worst kind of feedback, like just because of the time and place. So get that in check if you're watching this. Feedback is key as long as it's appropriate to the context and to the person too, like being willing to receive it. If you're just going up to everyone and just always giving feedback, and guess what? Some people would rather live in this little yes men echo chamber. They'd rather have it. And if you're going up trying to give them feedback, they're gonna be like, well, fuck you, dude, and bounce. Or if you give it in a very inappropriate way that doesn't relate, and I guess we could introduce the feedback sandwich.
I'm gonna introduce this by actually telling you a story that you've never heard, and telling you a story that you've never heard about a female friend who's really, really hot of Luke. So Luke, the Social Circle Blueprint, he's got a lot of female friends. So there's this one girl who very, very beautiful and very intellectual, very smart. And so at first she was telling me about how she's really into manners. And she's like, I really like it when people have this type of manners with each other. I was like, that's kind of neat. It's sort of old-fashioned, not really probably for me or for you, but it was an interesting perspective that I thought was kind of cool. Yeah. So she's talking about how she gives people feedback on their manners, and for example, she works at a really popular club here that starts with a W. You can guess which one it is. And she would have maybe a new cocktail girl dealing with people at the table, and they might be a little bit rude to a customer, and she'd say, that's not the right way to treat a customer. A customer needs to be treated with respect, and she'd sort of show her how, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I was like, that's a neat story. So then she kept giving more and more stories about how she's kind of busting people on their manners all the time. But by the end of it, she's like, you know what? She's like, this is getting really crazy. She was like, this one time, this man came in, and I just thought he was inadequate in bed. And I said, you are inadequate in bed. How can I even work with this? Oh, disgusting. Oh, gross. You need to get your shit together. And by the end of it, I realized this girl doesn't care about manners. She's using giving feedback as a way to just be this frame-controlling, obnoxious cunt, essentially showing, like basically just using social norms to shame people. Because if you're like, you should have put your hand out, you're kind of like, oh, maybe I should have. I mean, that is kind of a social norm. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. Because you want to live up to the social norm. So in many ways, feedback can be this obnoxious way to take control of the frame. And you can do that if you want, but I promise you that girl, as much instant gratification as she might get from shaming people and giving feedback as shame, she's not gonna probably wind up married to a great guy. I don't think any really high-level dude is gonna fall for that kind of shit. High-level people see that and they're just like, whatever. It's like, people come up to me, say on the street, and they're like, hey Tyler, I've seen your stuff. Blueprint could be better. they're thinking when they do that, they're thinking, I'm gonna go, how could I make it better? Tell me now. Oh, let me suck your cock. Thank you for telling me that my 4 years of my work sucks. Thank you. And it's like, no, immediately it comes across to me as gimmicky.
Yeah.
It's immediately a gimmick, and it doesn't make me buy in at all. You know how someone can make friends with me on the street? Just be cool, rather than doing a gimmick. So anytime that feedback is done as a gimmick, anybody who's like a legit dude, a legit girl with half a brain knows that you're just trying to control the frame. And there's a time and a place for everything. Like my vocal coach, Roger Love, I don't go to him when I first see him and be like, you know what, Roger, that shirt's not quite right. Okay, now teach me, to try to get like a better lesson out of him as a frame control play. So,
or with every instruction, it's like, I think you should say it this way. You know, I get your point, but you should explain it this way. I think more people would relate, just so you know. But proceed.
Yeah. Proceed. It's a frame control play that for a low-level person, it's like if you were to walk up to a girl right now and use a really low-level kind of like dissing her a little bit, and it, like just like, oh, not cool, and she goes for it. Whereas when you went up to Charlize Theron, actually right over there at the Roosevelt, you try to do that, and she's like, nice to meet you, and then just walks off, right? So a boss bitch like Charlize Theron, she's not going to go for these gimmicky little frame control plays. So whenever you're dealing with high-level people, don't use feedback as a gimmicky frame control place or frame control play. There's a time and a place where that's appropriate. So what a feedback sandwich is you have to understand that people are dealing with their sense of certainty or their sense of reality being intact whenever you give them feedback. So there's a biological reason why people get really flipped out and afraid of feedback. And here's what it is. A feedback sandwich. What's up, brother? Pleasure to meet you. Pika. Is that Pikachu? Oh, get him, Pikachu! We're in Japan. Okay, so.
No comment.
No comment.
Feedback.
Okay, so there's a reason why people actually get a little bit nervous about feedback, and here's what it is. You have a situation where you have your sense of reality. And now really follow this, because this is, you must understand this if you want to get the bigger picture. Human beings, we respond to people's sense of certainty. So the leader of groups, or people that have high status, have a sense of certainty about the way that they're communicating. And that's part of survival in a tribe, is that you come across as having status or certainty. So if somebody begins picking at your sense of certainty, and it causes you to kind of just be uncertain about everything, it actually could get you lower status in the tribe. It could lower your mating privileges and whatnot within that tribe, the way that we're evolved. So as a result, we are biologically wired to preserve our sense of certainty, because if we lose it too much, we lose status and could die. Okay, that's the way that we're wired. So people will defend their sense of certainty, because if you poke at them at one thing, they begin to question that they could be wrong about everything. Now, as a side tangent, the way that you get around that is some people, they form their sense of reality in a web, like one premise, one idea, another idea, another idea. They form it in a web to be wildly certain about everything. But a better way to form your sense of reality is separate each idea, so that even if this idea gets knocked down and this idea gets knocked down, you're good to go, okay? So you want to actually make it where it's like, I could be wrong about this, but it doesn't lower my sense of certainty about all this other stuff. But for a lot of people, some of the people that are the most sure of themselves, crazy sure of themselves, they put it in a web. Notice this with like a lot of naturals and say successful women, where their sense of reality is in this fucking clumped web. It's very impacted, where if you threaten one belief, it messes them up on like every belief. So you've got to get to the point where you're not being threatened on it. So that's you if you're into self-development. Good for you if you did that. But is that most people? No. Most people's ego is identified in their opinions, and therefore, because their sense of self is identified in their opinions, if you threaten one of their opinions, you are threatening them. You're threatening their sense of self, you're threatening their sense of certainty, and they are going to shut down any feedback that you give. So anytime that you're giving feedback, there is a way in which it is constructive, and then there's a way that it's just either a frame control play or insulting. Okay? So there's constructive way that actually makes an impact, where they're maybe even open to hearing it and maybe making change. And then there's a way where you're either insulting them, like, this sucks. That's not constructive. Like, what do you get out of that? This sucks. Thanks. Like, what's the feedback? Stop existing. That's not helpful. Or you're just making a frame control play. So in a helpful frame, we use what's called a feedback sandwich. And we do this all the time because anytime that we don't, anytime you can expect that really you're not giving feedback. All that you're doing is you're just fucking with the person. They're gonna fuck with you back.
This is actually something that I first learned teaching success with women, like 7 years ago in Miami. I don't know if you remember this one. First night out, it's like I had a client, I started giving him advice, and he was just like he started getting very defensive. And I'm like, why is he getting defensive? I'm getting him great advice. And I remember he came to you, he's like, you know what? I just don't like this Julien guy. And I'm like, why doesn't he like me? I'm helping him out. And you're like, dude, feedback sandwich. And I was like, what the fuck? And what it basically is instead of just telling him, do this, fix this, start off with something positive, then give him the feedback, and then end it with something positive. And that's what I was missing. I would not start it off with something positive. I would not end with something positive. And although the feedback was on point, it was accurate, there were good intentions behind it, he was not open to receiving it. And during that first day, he ended up closed off. Then, of course, I switched it up the second day and the third, and the guy loved it. But it was like a huge lesson. It was like, oh my God, just changing that delivery, starting off with the positive, then giving the feedback, ending with something positive, will make a huge fucking difference.
Because you're navigating a minefield of their sense of certainty and their self-image. You're navigating the minefield.
So, for example, instead of me being like, you know what, you need to fix these hands in your pocket, I don't know about that, and just ending it there.
That's cool, though.
I know, it'd be like,
It makes me look relaxed.
I'm like, but keep talking, have a blast. I'd be like, you know what I really love, man? Like, this shirt is awesome. One thing that could make it better is maybe, if you just moved your hand a little bit to...
Take it to another level.
Take it to another level.
Take this excellence
is,
to another level.
Instead of having your hands fully in, pull them out a little bit. And beyond that, dude, I also love the scarf. Positive, feedback, positive. That's the formula for everything. And before that too, another thing to ask yourself is, what's the intention behind it? And this is key. It's whenever you're going to give feedback, with the feedback sandwich, always ask yourself, is my intention really to help? Or is it me, as you mentioned, using it as an opportunity to shame or just, propel something or just bring someone down?
Which if you want to do, go for it. That's what you want to do.
Go for it.
If you just want to fuck with somebody, go ahead. But just be aware, just have your outcome clear. You want to just be like, you're shit, then do that.
Well, that's
but be aware of what your outcome is.
Yeah, it's like comments like, you suck, you're shit. It's like, why? And what can that person do to not suck? And with feedback too, it is that opportunity to feel good about shaming. And this is what most people are doing nowadays. Like if the whole PC, I'm just giving feedback, it's positive feedback, but in reality it's shame, 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 shame.
A lot of the PC stuff is a pure frame control play where what you're doing is you're taking groups that have lobbies behind them, and then you're going, what you said was bad to them, what you said was bad to them, and you're trying to trigger primal fear in the individual as a frame control play. And it's
Hollywood photobomb.
Oh no.
Hollywood photobomb.
You got it. What's your thoughts on the video?
Hey, my thoughts on the video. Hey, y'all got some real professional equipment around here, and I'm a real professional dude.
So you consent to being in the video?
Hey, I consent to being in all videos.
What are your thoughts on PC, being politically correct?
My thoughts on being politically correct is fuck Trump.
Photobomb.
Hey, that's what my thoughts on being political correct is fuck Trump.
And what could Trump do to do better, though?
Hey, he can leave the motherfucking office to do better. That's what Trump could do.
And what else? Specify. What else could he do better?
Trump could die to do better. I swear to God, because he can't do shit.
Yeah.
That's what he can't do.
Now, to be fair, though, and by the way, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
How do you think he made all that money?
Sucking dick. That's how I think he made his money.
And how do you make your money?
Bitches sucking dick.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Bitches sucking dick.
That's how I
That's
make
cool.
my money.
Where can I apply for that?
Hey, man, you gotta go to East Oakland for that.
Oh, NorCal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you gotta go to.
I got you.
Yeah, hey, you gotta go to seminary. Hey, and we're gonna live a bitch pimp on at the cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So he's very funny and he's cool and I want to be him. But just to clarify, as far as his ability to earn income, right, for his ability to say become a self-made millionaire, things like that. So it's funny, right, and it's a good strategy to take if you're not really looking at having an awesome life. Like say that your life doesn't have that prospect of being really financially prosperous, or say that you're not really likely to have a long-term relationship. Well, yeah, at that point, it's just like, yeah, fuck it, fuck this guy, fuck that guy, fuck him all, I'm a pimp, fucking suck dicks, yeah, like all that kind of stuff. That's a great strategy at a certain standpoint, because you know that you're not really going to succeed, because you kind of know that maybe you don't have the mental processing power to succeed. You know that you probably don't have the willpower or extended focus to succeed. So at that point, that's what I'd be doing too. I'd just be like, fuck it, suck a dick, right?
Sucking dick.
Yeah. And it's kind of it's a good way to make light of the situation that you're in. Now, if that's you, then that's a great way to go, because it's funny, it's entertaining, and it's fun. So you're kind of maximizing what your potential is. You know, and even going to, say, photobombing, right? Photobombing is kind of fun, it's kind of cool, but I've noticed a pretty strong correlation between people of, say, low status or who aren't going anywhere in life with photobombing. Unless, like, you know, say a guy like LeBron James does a photobomb, he's kind of like, oh, I'm doing a photobomb. But he's almost imitating that he's one of, like, the lowest status guys. Like, I photobomb too, even though I'm LeBron.
I'm just like you.
Exactly, yeah.
LeBron James photobombs.
Exactly, that's kind of what it is. So there's things that basically where you have to make a decision where you stand on the threshold, right? And for me, when I was younger, I was more like that guy. So that's why I know the mentality behind it. I know what it's like not to be balling, but tell yourself that you are, right? Balling on a budget.
Yeah.
You know?
What I'd say too, by the way, is notice how it's interesting when you ask him about Trump. And again, no political opinions here, but just to point it out, like the whole like getting into the details or the facts, it's like, well, what would you suggest? He can die.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, where's the actual feedback? Do you even know what's going on? It's like, he can die. He can suck a dick. It's like, okay. That's like, again, it's the same thing as, you suck. It's like, why?
And then how do you make money? And you know whatever he's doing for work, like,
But just suck a dick.
Who knows, right? Like, so you got to make it fun.
Yeah, but again, it's like, it's that same thing. It's like, is his intention there really to help? No, it's kind of like that.
Fun. It's to have some fun in the limited paradigm that he's working in. And here's the major thing. And I appreciate guys like that. I like having guys like that around me to remind me not to take things too seriously and to have a little bit of fun. Sometimes you need to just say, to suck some dicks, okay? There's a place for that. Like his mentality, I actually feel that there's a great place for what he said. He's almost like it's almost like enlightened in a way, right? Like he's like, I just suck dicks.
We're all serious. Like, he's like, hey guys, just bitches suck a dick, man.
There really is a place to just say fuck it all and just clown. So that's us when we go out at night, for example, right? Yeah. And that's the thing. Like when we go out at night, say that we're meeting girls, I don't think that we're like, let's have a crucial conversation here. You know, we're more probably on that side of the pendulum than on what we're saying here. So there's a difference that you have to make between what is good out at a fun club and say what's good in life. But notice again, there's a certain level of processing power that's required for something like a feedback sandwich. Because say that you're annoyed, say that for example he's annoyed at Trump and he's got this kind of reactive energy around it. For him to actually pause and say, wait a minute, let me get out of that reactive energy that's running me and get into a balanced, realistic headspace, that requires more processing power than he may have. And that's why if he doesn't want to become, say, a self-made millionaire or to have long-standing relationships, then what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to learn to calm his mind, center his mind, and put himself in the other person's shoes for a minute and get out of his own reality and go into theirs. And this is where, by the way, with a lot of guys kind of glorify having sex with a lot of women. And if you've got great skills with women, I think that's amazing. I think that's incredible. If you want to choose to be single your whole life, I'm okay with that. I think that's cool. But what perspective are you doing it from? Are you doing it from a perspective that you can't be in a long-term relationship because you don't have the processing power to be considerate of another person? Or are you being single because you just fuck up every relationship that you have, so now you're like, bitches ain't shit, yeah, I'm a pimp, dog. It's like, no, you just lack the mental processing power to be in a relationship. Because remember, every relationship is a balance between masculine leading, not just going in the girl's frame, not placating the girl, where a lot of guys blow it. But if you want a long-term relationship, there's also another side, which is communication, and high-level communication. Because if you're just like, I'm a pimp, eventually the girl leaves you. In the same way that the girl leaves you if you placate her too much, you're just like supplicating her too much and putting her on a pedestal. She'll leave for that. She'll also leave when you just are like, I'm a pimp, I'm right about everything, fuck you.
And even that point there, like, I'm a pimp, like, that's the go-to excuse. Anyone who, like, isn't willing to take feedback or go through again like these sessions of giving themselves feedback, it's like, well, fuck it, I'm a pimp. Or a business, like, you know what, fuck it, I'm a lone wolf. I don't need no team, I don't need people helping me, I just do me, man. I'm a fucking artist.
The big question that we're just gonna ask you is simple. Do you believe that you can be highly successful completely with no help and without high-level people engaging with you? Yes or no? And if you do, I mean, he probably does,
Or does he?
Just like Kenny Powers, right? Kenny Powers, Eastbound and Down. He's a legend in his own mind. Okay, Google Kenny Powers. He's a legend in his own mind. So do you want to be a legend in your own mind, or do you want to say, I understand that to succeed, I need to have high-level people around me. I understand that I am the average of the 5 people that I surround myself with. I understand that high-level people have a low bullshit tolerance and are not going to tolerate me being a little dictator, and that I have to relate with other alpha males or I have to relate with high-level women. And if you understand that, then at that point, to have long-term relations to them, you've got to have what's called meta-level awareness, which means in coping, when you're coping, you're only thinking of yourself. Like, think when you're really tired. You're only thinking of yourself. Someone says, if you're really tired, and an Uber driver says, how's your day going? You're like, fine, because you're tired. Or you make comments at people that just reflect what you're thinking because you're tired. That's the number one sign of coping versus thriving, is you're stuck in your reality. Someone who's thriving, somebody who's kicking ass, is actually capable of thinking outside themselves. That's why women, when they see a man who has a dog, they're like, wow, he's actually able to think of something other than himself. He can think of a dog. That's why Julien did it. So that's where thriving comes in, and that's a mandatory skill as far as building really high level success.
And it just shows how low the fucking bar is. Like, again, you get a dog, and again, don't shop, adopt. You get a dog, immediately it's like, oh, this person can get out of his own head. He can have some kind of social awareness, some kind of empathy. Oh my God.
It means you're doing well enough that you can actually see past your own shit. Which is why so many guys are creepy. Women deal with so many fucking creepy dudes because you can feel the copingness in them as they go up creepy.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is that, like, okay, in the same way, like enlightenment, apathy, enlightenment, they look almost the same, but there's a different quality to them. Supplication and offering value almost look the same, but there's a different quality to them, right? Like being a beta male provider, supplicator, almost looks like an alpha male who offers value and has empathy, but there's a different quality behind it.
Now, huge key too in terms of giving feedback, receiving feedback, and moving ahead is not being so fucking reactive to everything and not acting on that impulse of reactivity, if you will. Where, common one is just through email or text messages. Like, here's one, guy and a girl. Guy texts the girl, doesn't get an answer, starts fucking panicking, reacting. He's like, why don't you text me? And goes on this huge fucking rant. Okay? When in reality, guess what? Maybe on her end, she was just busy. Maybe she was in a movie. There, a movie, her phone's off for like 2 hours.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever sent a flipped out, jealous text? And what happened when you did it? Did it help or did it fuck things up?
Yeah. And unfortunately, this is how a lot of feedback is given. It's just on the impulse. Someone pisses you off, someone triggers something inside of you, you have this pain body attack, and then you just lash out. You're just like, you know what? I don't like this about you, and you should do this, and I can't believe this, and blah, 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 blah. It's insane. Like, this is something that's hugely common to with like people pleasers. They're very, very quiet, and then eventually something just pops, and that's their version of feedback. And on the receiving end, it's the same thing. Instead of being able to take it in, it triggers something inside of you, and now you're extremely defensive. You start lashing back, and shit just explodes. So the key here is to learn how to remove that charge. So instead of being so reactive, you can actually be responsive. You can give proper feedback, receive proper feedback, and move up. And this is where most people just in the masses are at. They're just reacting to everything. And it's like these little explosions everywhere. It's like, I'll react, I'll lash out at you. It'll trigger something in you, you'll react, you'll lash out at me, you'll lash out at someone else. And there's no real, authentic, constructive feedback given. And then, of course, you can rationalize your, it's like, well, it's because of the Illuminati, as we mentioned before. I mean, it's insane.
Essentially, understand that without feedback, you cannot be successful for the most part. You're not going to hit an elite level at anything without constant feedback. I invest anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 a month in getting feedback. It's continual. Okay, so understand that for about 4 or 5 days a month, I'm in the teacher role where I'm like, what's up? It's Owen from Real Social Dynamics. I'm a Julien Blanc. Here's this. Do it like this. That's me in teacher mode. Then the other 80% of my month is me looking a lot more like this. Really? Okay. How would I do that? Thank you. Okay, I'll fix that.
And that's
80% of my life that you don't see.
Yeah, I want to hammer that too. It's like the key moments is when you're taking it in. It's versus that little high of like, I'm teaching, I'm giving you feedback. It's like, it's cool to give someone feedback, and you should, because that helps them. But guess what? When you're being helped is when you shut the fuck up and you take it in. When it's time to take it in, take it in. Shut the fuck up. Even if there's something like, say I'm listening to, I don't know, some video on YouTube where I'm talking to someone, I'm like, you know what, I don't really agree with this point. I should maybe call that person out on it. It's like, no, when I'm learning, I shut the fuck up, I take it all in, and I filter through it after. I'm not like, now's the time and place for a little feedback. Take it in, time and place. When I'm teacher, I'm full teacher. When I take it in, I take it in.
Yeah, what you have is like, in teacher mode, you feel almost like a dominance, where when you're talking, like you see me say the word dominance. There's an energy behind it. So in this moment, I'm not looking to take anything in. It's an outpouring. Now, that's me about 20% of my month. Then the other 80% of the month is me poking holes in the business with a team around me showing me where they poke holes in it. It is me getting feedback from friends. It is me going to very expensive teachers and coaches who I'm paying through the nose to break down what I'm doing. And they're probably using feedback sandwiches, to be fair, if they're any good at what they're doing. But for the most part, I'm just psych! Okay! So there's that degree to which you're looking to get outside perspective, because take the psych guy. And this is why we decided to shoot this like in a place where a lot of the masses are. Yes, it's kind of funny, but on another level, he's in a mode. Like if you think psychologically, what kind of mode he's in?
Fuck Trump again.
Yeah, fuck him. So, like in that mode, like when he's like, fuck Trump again, is there an opening there where he can learn anything? So then at that point, he has to decide, am I okay at that income level? Am I okay with these personal relationships? Like, what am I okay with? So you want to have this one part of you where you're kind of like the psych guy or the Trump guy, where you're like, Trump, yeah, psych, yeah. Like that's one part. It's an outpouring. There's no opening. It's like a defense wall where your certainty is so strong, nobody can fuck with you. Like if we go to fuck with the psych guy, he's not going to care. And he's doing that to maintain status. You see that? He's holding his status there. So what he's doing is he's protecting anybody from fucking with him back. So if I yell at him back, there will be no reaction. He'll just think it's funny. But he doesn't most likely have that other side to him where it's this feeling of deep humbleness. It's a feeling of you'd call it like a recognition of your own smallness, a gratitude for the amazing inventions of other people in the world, these incredible perspectives that people have. It's a sense of, I'm a small little being in a big world with people that are very talented, with people that know a lot more than what I do, with so much to learn, so much to take in, and yes, a confidence, but a confidence that the information's out there for you to take in, and that as you take it in, your results go up. So confidence isn't based on like, I'm a pimp. Confidence is based on there's incredible resources out there. I trust my mind and my mental faculties to take advantage of those, and then when it's time to have that output or to boss up, it's leading me in a good direction. But the feeling that I have about 80% of my month is kind of like, wow, like it's a wonderment and gratitude for the world and a recognition of what I don't know and letting it sink in. And you almost want to like let it hit you, like let the feedback hit you, let it kind of hurt, like let it be like, okay, all right, I could do better. Like let it in, but just be with the feedback, be with it. And then as you're with it and you don't shut it out, some of it you don't need to take. For example, if somebody doesn't have good intentions towards you and they're just like, you suck, that's a frame control play. Frame control play, block out. Likewise, people just saying asshole things like, you suck. That's them just brain dead or low functioning. And then from there, you don't need to take it. Then when you're getting feedback from people who are qualified, whose opinions you value and who are there to help you, that is how you move forward. And understand that if you don't have this, you are flying as a hot girl with a boob job in Hollywood, snorting cocaine off a producer's dick and thinks she's gonna become an actress. Okay, you're flying completely blind. The chances of success are minimal. So you do require that input, and that's where things like the 360-degree feedback that we talk about comes into play.
We established the feedback sandwich. Start with something positive, give your feedback, end with something positive. But what's key here is instead of just going to one person and getting that person's feedback and then only going off of that one person, you need to create this council of opposing ideas and basically do 360-degree feedback sessions. And this is something that we do all the time. We do with our team. We all sit down. We do...
And students.
Yeah, students, like clients. We do it with other people we work with. There's an instructor call every single month, for example. And we all give each other feedback. And what's key here is instead of, again, having that one person giving you their feedback from their subjective point of view, you get a bunch of different points of view. And everyone covers something different. You know, if there's like someone like who's a pessimist, you're gonna get that feedback. Someone who's
you must have a pessimist on your council, minimum of one, whose reticular activation system, their selective focus, could see this big carnival out of the window, but all they can see is a speck of dirt on the window. They can't see the carnival. They just see the speck of dirt. You can have a big wall, all they can see is the cracks. You never want to be the pessimist. Never. Those guys never crush it. But you need them on your council to get advantage of their focus.
Yeah, you need the pessimist and the optimist. Like when shit's like hitting the fan, you're like, oh my God, everyone's freaking out. You need that one guy who's like, well, look at this one little percent. There's hope.
There's the opportunity.
Exactly. You need someone who's like outgoing, fun. You need the fucking nerd. You need someone who's so nerdy in the basement who like analyzes everything and just like can't joke around at all. And they need that person's feedback. Like the wider the range, the better.
I will keep a dude like that Trump guy in my crew. Always one or two. Sometimes you do just need to say, fuck it.
Yeah.
Pam, you just need to stop thinking so much and just laugh. So you need that broad range.
Yeah, and a guy who's a dick, for example. It's like not just nice people. Get a guy who's a dick. Get someone who's a dick.
He'll look at you, go, dude, stop taking that shit. Come on.
Yeah, it's like, man,
there's a time and a place for
everything.
Step
up. The fuck is this? You're like, okay. Versus, it's all fine. But you also need that person who's like, it's all fine. Relax. Deep breaths. Let your breath dictate how you feel. Breathe in, breathe out. Shut the fuck up. Step up. Oh, everything's fucking shit. It's going to shit. Oh, it's all positive. You want all of that and do this regularly. I mean, it's crazy too how we can easily just forget. Like you skip one of those like sessions, you're like, I'm fine. And then slowly but surely you start venturing off the path and bang, you hit your fucking head. You're like, oh my God, the fucking sessions. Or even with books, like you get so caught up in like one little topic, you keep going down that road, bang, you're off the path.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what level you're trying to play at. So are you going for major high level success? Or are you kind of trying to just be like a legend in your own mind? And that's up to you if you want to leave that opening there, or if you want to close off the vulnerability. And if you close off the vulnerability, then you will be a legend in your own mind and you'll benefit from having that really strong sense of certainty that you can use to kind of like have little small wins. But if you want to win on an epic level, you got to understand that if you're talking about millions upon millions of dollars, you're dealing with a higher level of potency and ability and competency than the average person is dealing with. It's a completely different paradigm. So the way that we've seen it work is that human beings, it's like a hive mind. And if you have the power of 10 minds, and you're able to keep a balanced perspective and not get sucked in like, hey, that's what he said. It's what he said. It's what he said. But you actually have a lot of life experience. So you're able to synthesize easily. You're able to recognize that there's a time and a place for each thing. And everybody's perspective has value, but there's a time and a place for it. And really what that means is being humble and recognizing that in human beings, there's brilliance, because human beings are adaptive. Like the Trump guy is adaptive to his life. He deserves respect, even if he may not give it, but he deserves respect because in him not giving it, that's his limitation. But in you giving him respect, that is your expansion. So having that ability to create the opening means that what you're doing is like a microscope, and it's like this lens. Let's look at the little petri dish. There's a petri dish under a microscope. Let's look at it at this lens. Oh, that's there. Let's look at it at this lens. That's there. Let's look at it at this lens. That's there. Okay, couple more. Okay, do we synthesize a few different angles of this? Or is this the time and a place for this response? And when you have this on an ongoing basis, now you're operating at a 10x of brain power and ability to produce results than a typical person who is shut down. Because most people are completely shut down and they're coming from the space of defensiveness all the time. Save that sense of certainty, save that self-image. Remember that, the different ideas. Oh, don't fuck with one of my ideas, because it messes up all of them, instead of keeping your ideas separate and able to knock down an idea and replace it in. And this is where in Eastern philosophy we say, don't identify with the ideology, because so many countries go to war over an ideology. They go kill each other to preserve an ideology because they view it as themselves, and instead say that you're in Eastern philosophy, they say you're the witnessing consciousness behind the ideas, and ideas are a vehicle. A paradigm gets you from point A to point B, and then you change the vehicle. And what you'll find is something like, say, in Stephen Covey, he calls it seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah.
And before he died, Stephen Covey, my understanding is that he said that seek first to understand, then to be understood was his most important principle. And what that meant is it's the difference between being in a limited perspective where you can only feel yourself and being expansive, okay? And it means that it's essentially securing the future of the world. And in books like Crucial Conversations, what they explain is let the other person say why they did something. Even if say you're mad at somebody, you just say, man, why did that happen? Seek first to understand, and then don't make them feel threatened. Don't make them feel unsafe. Don't make them feel judged. Let him talk. You let him talk, and then you say, okay, I heard what you had to say. Would you like to hear my thoughts? And now they feel safe. You've established safety with the person. You've established that you're not judging them. You've allowed them to keep their sense of certainty intact, keep their confidence intact, keep their status intact. Well, now they're totally open to hearing what you have to say because you've all heard what they had to say. Anybody that doesn't at that point, they're done. But you see, at least if they do it regularly, but you see the general idea there. So where you're coming from is, again, you've got to choose what level that you want to play at. And this is why, by the way, I don't drink alcohol. I don't get, high or things like that. Even I understand there's a time and a place for that too, but that's a whole other video. But you see the point, I don't do that. That's why I pump my brain with good nutrition because, and this is getting really trippy, my biggest thing in my life is living an authentic life. And authenticity means not living in delusion and not towing the line of mainstream thinking. Well, in order for me to do that, I know that my brain needs a high degree of impulse control. And I'm not saying that I even have it. This is a work in progress here. But I understand that I need to have impulse control. I need to have meta-level awareness. I need to be able to think outside of myself. I need to be able to think expansively. And I also have to have the belief that I can crush it on an epic level. If I believe those things, now all of a sudden, it's easy for me to say, okay, we need 10x the power of the mind here. We need to take this to the highest level. We need to fix the issues in this. We're not gonna let our sense of certainty calm down. And the major thing is that most people are being pulled around in a state of reactivity due to, like we talked about in another video, that low vibration energy idea. If you've ever read the law of attraction books, they talk about high vibration, low vibration energy. And most people's sense of self is rooted in past trauma, or at least it's placed upon and floating on top of past trauma. And there's this reactivity that makes it almost impossible for them to take feedback, to give feedback properly without lashing out. And for that reason, they're in this weird cycle of reactivity. And this is why, and then at that point, they're just stuffing it down with alcohol, booze, drugs, fast food, diversion, and whatnot, and they're stuck in the masses. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? Are you seeing the pattern here between massive upward spiral success and downward spiral? Are you seeing where this has its place? I hope you are. And that's why Julien talks a lot about that reactive energy and letting that go to put you in a position where this is more natural and easier for you.
Yeah, and that's really the definition of living authentically. It's when you're proactive and you're no longer living in reaction. Because it's insane. Most people, again, they have all this trauma, all this suppressed shit, and they're just walking around coping in defense. People attack them, they're triggered, and guess what? Those actions, those triggered actions, that defines where you go in life. So instead of having actual control, you're being controlled by other people. And not just that, but then when you're triggered, you lash out. And when you're lashing out, it's usually because maybe you were shamed for something like being loud when you were a kid. And now that you're shaming someone else for being loud, you can feel good. So it's not like, I'm bad for being loud. Look, I'm shaming someone. So everything you do is in reaction. It's crazy. It's when was the last time you were proactive? When was the last time you were not reacting to something inside, to something outside, and you were actually completely at peace, at ease, and then choosing where you want to go?
What percentage of your thoughts do you think are biological drive fulfillment, ego fulfillment, and social conditioning? Stop and really think about that. How much of your mental thought process isn't, I'm hungry, I want to fuck, I'm tired, I want this, I want that? Ego gratification, I look cool, I don't look cool, this person doesn't like me, this person does like me, this is who I am, what is me? And then social conditioning, shit you heard elsewhere without having even considered it. If you're living in that level of reactivity and you're looking for massive success, what are your odds of success at that point? to where conversely, I mean to some extent, I suppose you could have success because you are kind of going with moving forward, but it's very limited as opposed to the broad range of actions that you could take when you're fluid like water and you can just adapt to any situation. So that's why we want to create proactivity and realize that reactive energy and decisions and relationships that you build feeds on itself. React, downward spiral versus getting into proactive upward spirals. People don't have bad intentions. They're doing as best they can with the resources that they have, the mental resources, ability to cope, but they could be in a state of so much reactivity, which then leads to things to stuff that reactivity like alcohol, drugs, processed foods, bad habits, diversion, which then erodes their ability to focus, which then erodes their general brain power, and they're just in this reactive state. Every human has potential. That's why I don't know if I even agree with things like the death penalty or things like that, because I just feel, it's a very gray area, but I just feel like anybody could change and has potential. But there's these cycles that are going on within them or within yourself that you need to look at, and at that point you've got to see how to change it. And by the way, if you think that you're even at 2% of your potential right now, I would urge you to really look at that, because again, that's a very in defense and protection rather than in growth and expansion. When you see, say, the World Summit videos that we do and 7 or 8 different instructors answer a question, do you notice how there's a different angle or point of focus that we answer the same question? Do you also notice how, say they say, what do you do with a phone number? And 8 different guys give a different angle on it, and it makes this perfect answer where you understand it top to bottom. That, to me, is like an absolute knowledge. Yeah. And that's because it's not just an echo chamber, it's different responses, but you have to be somebody in expansion and growth rather than in protection or contracted to be open to that and to have that level of resources available to you. But it's a decision, do you want to just crush it huge, or do you want to be a legend in your own mind? And you've got to decide that. We're making a video. Would you like to tell your story?
I'm like Purple Rain.
Yeah.
All that. I did all that. I got the copyright. You'll see in the back of the book it says Roger Smith 700 Imperial.
Yeah.
Illinois is I'm missing my Rolls Royce in Mel's place.
Really? So you wrote for Prince and you had a Rolls Royce?
I am Prince.
You are Prince?
I'm a real Prince.
Really? And you had a Rolls Royce? And you have a Rolls Royce?
I went to work in L.A.
Yeah.
And hustled.
Yeah.
Made $300,000. Went up there to Mel's place, or past Mel's place on the other side where they sell where it was in the 80s, they're selling the Rolls Royces. And I invented the Rolls Royce and I bought one just like I invented, right?
Yeah.
$300,000.
Did you want anyone to give you any ideas on how to take it to another level so you could get back to where you were?
I just want to keep working real hard as a scientist and a doctor on my own, my own trade, but I need $200,000
investment.
A year.
Yeah.
$200,000 a year.
Got it.
That's how much work I did. That's nothing. That's nothing.
Yeah. Has anyone
all kind of stuff.
Has anyone given you any ideas on how to like take this to a high level so you could make that 200,000?
Well, I shouldn't have to. The police are always on me.
Do you feel victimized?
Yes, very much.
Got it.
I've been crucified.
Yeah. Got it.
Hey, the gymnasium was found with a lot of dead bodies in it.
This is a great design, man.
Look at that. But look, this is like real fast.
It's beautiful.
But
could you show the camera the design?
You don't see this yet. Now notice, you don't see this on the street yet, right? I did the A4, the A3, I'm one of the sinners of the Vegas family, God, names, like Peck.
Yeah.
Gambles or Smith Parker.
This is a beautiful design. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for being a part of the video and helping.
I played in Batman too.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
God bless.
I wanted to jump in on that, and I hope that doesn't have too much of an exploitative feel. I understand that, it's not trying to laugh at a guy, right? It's a guy who's sharing a story. Okay, so was a gift from him to share a story with you. Okay, and that's important. So it's not there to tease him and stuff. We all have our moments, okay? So he's out here doing his thing, okay? And he's a beautiful person. I want to be clear about that. Nonetheless, sometimes I just feel that we can talk about things and try to make the point, but that's why we come out here, into the shit show a little bit so you can see it. And a predictable thing that you're going to see in those types of situations is, legend in your own mind, probably not a lot of feedback, and probably victim, right? And that's a common thought pattern, and that's where it's on the more extreme end of the spectrum. And just try to understand that you're predictably going to see legend in his own mind, victim, lack of feedback in these cases. So that's a beautiful person there who's funny and he's joyful, and I feel like I learned something from him because he's smiling and he's happy. So there's always something to learn from him, and I think you learn something beautiful from him. But just also be aware that these are common common sets of beliefs in these types of situations, and notice that the legend in his own mind helps him to cope, right? He's in a situation where he might not have a place to sleep tonight, and that legend in his own mind helps him to cope, or not feeling responsible when it's just too overwhelming helps him to cope. I think people watching this are adults, and I think you can take it for what it is as a beautiful person sharing his story with you, and just sort of maybe take that as a memory of the importance of, again, making a choice. Do you want to be the legend in your own mind? Do you want feedback to help you get forward? And do you want to say that you're a proactive force as opposed to a victim? Are you going to say that you're at the cause, not the effect? Or do you want to be a victim? And where do you want to stand on that threshold? Now, it could be a huge oversimplification, and what I just said could be totally wrong. I don't know. Maybe I could ask my friends if they think that what I just said even makes sense there. Maybe I'm wrong. So really open to being wrong there, and if you're offended by me getting his talk there, I'm so sorry. But it's just, to me, that can really help you to remember these ideas, and that's what's important. That can be a gift that he can give to you, a gift both of learning from him, but also the gift of his happiness and his joy and him smiling and laughing and relating with us, which I thought was really beautiful.
So with all of this, I really hope you finally get the importance of receiving feedback and receiving it from multiple sources. Do feedback sandwiches, positive feedback, positive, do 360-degree feedback sessions, and ultimately remove that reactivity. Like, that's the big killer here in terms of giving, receiving feedback, and moving up. Like, it's not just receive feedback. Like, this has an effect on your life. Like, you will be amazed by how your life will change. And I mean, it's insane. Like we were talking about before, like, we are not surprised at this point if someone comes up and they tell us, hey, thanks for the advice, I'm now a millionaire. Like, we're not like, oh my God,
very normal.
A millionaire? It's completely normal. If someone comes up like, hey, thanks so much, I have an amazing relationship now. Completely normal. Hey, thanks so much, I now have an abundance of women. Completely normal. Hey, thanks so much, I was in depression, I was about to kill myself, and now here I am killing it in life. Completely normal, okay? And with, as a little side note here, transformation mastery, this is also one of the big reasons I created it, was to remove this reactivity, because no one really addresses that either. It's like everyone's just like reactive, and it's easier to give people what they want to. It's like, oh, you're reactive here, something to spike that up, versus let's actually get to the cause here. Let's remove this. Let's get you in a place where you're now proactive. You're now living a life of your own design, not in reaction to this baseline or to other people just kind of moving you in different directions, because you will stay stuck. If you don't get out of this, you will stay stuck at the bottom.
And don't underestimate how bad it could get.
It gets bad. Again, it's like, and it reaches that point too where you get stuck for so long, and you've rationalized it for so long, and you're this hero in your own mind for so long, and it's so just like you're stuck. It's absolutely stuck. There's nothing you can do. There is a point of no return where you're just lost.
That's why we had to show you that, so that you can see where the fullest direction of that paradigm. And ask yourself, where are you a legend in your own mind? What we're teaching is intended to have impact. This is not a video for you to watch and then for you to say, oh, I watched the video. How inspirational. It's not about inspiration, it's about results. Inspiration can lead to results, but inspiration is the first half. So if you're somebody who feels inspired, say watching a video like this, and you think, wow, I'm not connected to the Matrix anymore because I watch self-help videos. That's one part of the equation, right? And self-development is like taking a bath. You do it every day, and that's when it works. So it's good to be inspired every day, like taking a bath. It's a bath for your own mind. But the next step of it, once you took a bath, you think just because you took a bath, now you're winning, or are you just a legend in your own mind? So what transformation mastery is about is getting rid of that reactiveness and finding a proactive core past the biological drives, ego gratification, social conditioning, and just being in protection. And what Julien is showing you in transformation mastery is moving into expansion, growth, and meeting your fullest potential. You have to draw a line in the sand of where you want to be on this equation. And my recommendation to you is to believe in yourself. You have to buy in that you have a powerful future, that you have an inspiring future. If you want to take to any of this, you've got to make a decision. Are you the Trump guy, or are you the guy that's expanding? That's your choice. This was a lot of subtle stuff that was dropped in this video. This is not stuff that would be dropped in a mainstream video because it's not related to most people. There's not a huge outpouring of people that even want to hear this. For the most part, people just want to feel good, almost like in the Matrix, right? Do you want to know the truth, or do you want to just get plugged back in the matrix because it feels good? Most people, when pressed, really just want to feel good. But if you're somebody who wants to go outside of that and says, you know what? I'm not worried about feeling good at this second because I'm going to feel really good in a better future. In fact, maybe I'm somebody who has the impulse control, presence, and ability to control his own emotions, to be at the cause and effect of your own emotions, that you're not afraid of really being seen. Are you afraid of really being seen? Are you afraid of your own potential? Are you living as a legend in your own mind? Or are you ready to come out of the little fucking wank-off closet? Okay, you ready to come out of the closet and you're ready to get to fucking work. So that was what we're trying to communicate to you here today. It's about results. It's about you making massive growth. And it's about you seeing what's really possible in the short and beautiful life that you have. I just want to say thank you. I'm sure you'd like to say that too, for listening. Thanks for giving us a chance to sort out some of these ideas. And we're very much looking forward to seeing you as a part of Transformation Mastery. Peace.
It was fucking amazing. This was huge for me. This was so important.
This gave me by far the greatest epiphanies I've ever had.
We got like real deep and I found some issues within myself. One of the best things I've seen so far in my life.
He's made me realize some of the things that I had been suppressing for almost my entire life.
This year, like if you remember this and you take it with you, like that's what you need. You can't bullshit your subconscious. Until you fully accept and release and go through and experience all the stuff you've suppressed, you're always going to be escaping. When the fuck do we actually sit down, really get in touch with what's going on, and like experience it? Where else are you gonna let loose like this? Where else? And where else are there gonna be other people who push you to let loose even more? Nowhere. Everything outside this room is telling you to do the opposite. As soon as you leave this room, you're back in society, back in a place where people tell you to shut the fuck up. They tell you everything that's wrong about you. They tell you to fit in. I don't care what is authentic to you, just keep it to yourself. You don't deserve it. Don't be happier than everyone else. Fit in. Ah! Now talk. Bring it. Ah! Yeah!
This is the type of place that shows you what's possible.